Think of your job posting as like your dating app profile. You want to woo these candidates. You want to sell yourself or your practice in the role. When I'm working with clients and they send me a generic job posting, I chuckle because I'm like, well, this is changing. We're going to sprinkle some sparkle on there or something.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raving Patients Podcast. We're going to be talking about 10 things not to do when you're hiring. I first want to thank the sponsors, both Dental Intelligence and the doc sites, for their support, allowing me to come to your inbox every single Friday at 5 a.m. for now 7 seasons. Lots of episodes out there. I also want to remind everybody about my event in September called Supercharge Your Dental Practice. It's in Scottsdale, Arizona, September 27th and 28th. 2 days of lots of things related to marketing your practice, business, leadership, and money. So check it out at superchargeyourdentalpractice.com and use the code RAVING to save $100 on registration. Early bird registration ends soon, so please take advantage of that. We're expecting over 300 people to that event. So today's guest again is Allison Norris. And again, it's called 10 Things Not to Do When You're Hiring, and she's with the Dentele group. So, a former dental hygienist, Allison left clinical dentistry in 2018. She leveraged her years of experience in the dental industry to launch the Dentele Group, LLC, a recruiting agency that specializes in placing candidates into non-clinical roles. As the founder and CEO, she oversees the strategy, operations, and growth of the agency, which has been nominated by Top Talent for Recruiting Agency of the Year and Startup Agency to Watch in 2022. Allison was also awarded Who's Who in America and most recently the Denobi Rising Star Award. So please welcome to the Raving Patients Podcast, Allison Norris. Allison, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you. I love talking about hiring in the industry. It's such a interesting topic because there's so much that goes on in this space. Obviously, there's companies that hire for clinical positions, dentists, hygienists, dental assistants, but you took an entirely different approach and you went to the non-clinical part of things. So just briefly, why don't you expand on your bio and really talk about why you created the company and how you help dentists?
Like I said, or like you said, I'm a hygienist by profession. Decided to leave in 2018 and I started working at a dental billing company and decided to reach out to the CEO one day and ask about a consulting division. And so that was really my first glimpse into a corporate environment because I got to build the consulting division there with some of the best consultants in the industry. It's an awesome experience. I then left there and I started working at this orthodontic tech startup company. And to put it nicely, they kind of screwed me over. And so I went through about 3 months of depression. And one day I woke up and I was like, I'm not going to feel this way anymore. And I don't want anybody else to either. And so I said, I'm going to launch a recruiting agency. And, that way I can kind of be the one in charge. But it was, the Dentele group was built with zero experience, and zero, I had zero intentions of it growing more than, to what it is. I mean, honestly. So it's been pretty amazing.
So we all know hiring is hard, especially since COVID. Post-COVID hiring for any position in dental practice is difficult. Forget about getting hygienists to come in, because there's so many people that are looking and there's so few candidates who are quality candidates. So it's very, very difficult. And half the places you look from Indeed are unqualified. When I was looking, and again, I ran a practice for 15 plus years. And, I first went on Craigslist. I got very lucky in the past because I hired all of my candidates were hired from Craigslist, which is bizarre because that doesn't really happen as well nowadays. I went to Indeed. I went to all these other companies and it was a waste of money. It was sucked. They didn't bring in qualified candidates. So the other problem is that the ones who they have zero personality, and you're stuck with the subpar employee. So I want to ensure, and I hope you want to ensure, to find a team member that aligns with the practices, teams, the culture, everything that goes on. So let's talk about recruiting the proper candidate for your position. Talk about, how does someone know who the proper candidate is? How do they set up for success when they use a company like yours?
It's kind of difficult to know, that you're going to find that perfect person. And so you have to really do your due diligence. A phone screening is just not going to work. If you are hiring with the intentions of just getting a warm body in the practice, that's not going to work. When our clients work with us, they know that they're getting as much of a comprehensive view as possible. So we do an initial phone screening just to make sure that those qualifications are there. We do a video interview. We'll record that video interview. We do personality assessments because it's really, really important that personalities align in the practice. If you have too many dominant personalities and, too many, it's not going to work, right? It's just like too many hens in a hen house kind of thing. We'll do, aptitude test or, it's really up to our clients what they want to do. I love the Colby A, personality assessment. I think it's great. It measures how you react in situations. We basically gather all that information along with, reviewing their resume, making sure that they're not a job hopper, and then gather all that information and place it into a private portal for our clients. So once those clients, they see the profiles, they can easily just accept or decline the candidate. And then we encourage them to either do a video and an in-person interview. It's tough, but we try to make it as seamless as possible.
What do you think is the most difficult thing now when it comes to hiring the proper candidate? As we mentioned, there are many places to go to. A lot of them are filling clinical positions more so than non-clinical positions. But what do you think are the biggest barriers to getting somebody who is a qualified candidate into your practice with the ways that exist nowadays? And look, there are other agencies that do something similar, but it's on the clinical side. There are other agencies that are a temp agency that are online. So there are a lot of people who are doing hiring, but what is the key to being successful kind of going through the motions to get a candidate to come into the practice who will be a long-term team member? Because it costs a lot of money to train and get someone onboarded. And then if they don't work out, you just wasted all that time. So how is someone successful when it comes to navigating this whole hiring sector into the practice?
I think that candidates nowadays there's so much distrust there, for some reason. And so, making sure that, you have a great online reputation is key and what I talk to all my clients about. And, when it starts out with the initial job posting, you get on Facebook and you see all these jobs posted, right? And the majority of them, don't have any comments on them. Doing something to make yourself stand out, whether that's taking a picture with your team and showing that you guys have a fun team and a great culture. Or one time they had a dog in the practice, like a service dog, a pet, whatever it's called. I can't remember, for anxiety, And so we took a picture of this sweet dog, and you would not believe all the people that ended up commenting that they were interested because of the dog. I think that kind of just making sure that basically positioning yourself in the practice as someone that you would want to go work for. Like if you are just posting the standard post, nobody's going to reach out. Nobody's going to comment. I actually have a funny story. There was this guy that had posted on Facebook, and it was something about, this large sign-on bonus. And so I just responded and I said, you really don't need to offer that large sign-on bonus. And he was like, he thought I was, talking smack to him or something. And so then all of a sudden though, it allowed him the opportunity because he came at it from a defensive standpoint. So when he came from that defensive standpoint, he all of a sudden finally, after post after post after post, shared his value proposition and what makes his practice different from all the rest. And then all of a sudden he had all these people commenting, and it was just a perfect example.
Yeah, I agree that you have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself, figure out the way that your practice stands out from the competition, because there are lots of people looking to hire and there's no loyalty anymore. And you will find that dental practice team members leave for just a few dollars if they can go somewhere else. And I always told my employees that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. It wasn't always. They may throw at you that you're going to have the best benefits and the best culture and the best this, the best that. And if they're happy where they are, chasing a few dollars to go may not always be the best way to do things. And I had a couple of my team members after they left that they wanted to return to my office because, like I mentioned, the grass wasn't greener on the other side. But that was it. Once they left, they were done. I was not bringing any old employees back again. So it's really interesting that you say that. So let's talk about, you mentioned it, online reputation. That's my specialty. I love helping practices with online reviews. The far majority of practices have stellar reviews online. But when I was in the position of hiring or talking to potential candidates, when I was in practice, they had told me they looked at other practices and chose sometimes not to go into the practice because of bad reviews they read. Especially now on some of these websites you go to for hiring, they allow the potential person who's looking to become a team member to search reviews for that practice from the hiring perspective as well. So can you talk about the negative reviews and the impact it has not only on Google, but on some of these websites where they're actually they're hiring sites that have reviews already on there?
It makes it very difficult. And I encountered this not too long ago, and it made it more difficult for us. It was a group that, in the past, they didn't have the best culture. They were more, profit, oriented, I guess you would say. And, so they were changing the culture completely, and it made it pretty difficult. We had to not only get these candidates, on the phone, we had to talk them over what they had heard and then get them to believe in us. It's tough. Now, I will say though, that if you have employees that aren't happy, then a lot of times employers are first to blame, others. But if you have a lot of a huge turnover and you just can't retain your employees, then sometimes it might be a good idea to just kind of look inside yourself and figure out what you can change.
Well, I think looking in the mirror is really important, because if you're having a problem retaining employees, just like if you have a problem getting bad reviews about a specific thing that you are not, hey, I run late all the time. Well, stop running late. Or, the person at the front desk is rude or obnoxious. And I'll tell a quick story in a second, which I love to tell. But you look yourself in the mirror because the common denominator is you. Okay. That's just the way it is. If there's a problem in the practice, most likely that continues to come up, it's probably either the office manager or the doctor themselves that's causing all the problems. So I always tell this funny story during my online reputation sessions. So I had a dentist reach out to me. It's about 8 years ago now. And he said to me, "Hey, Len, I'm having a problem. I'm getting all these bad reviews." And when I looked him up, I think at the time he had like 68 reviews. Almost half of them were bad. He had 2.7 stars on Google. So he looked terrible. And all of the reviews that were bad was about the person at the front desk. And he said, the terms that they used were short, condescending, rude, tone. They had the team member had tone with the employees, with the employees and the patients. But this was clearly that there was an issue with this person at the front desk. So he asked me, "What do you think I should do?" So, Allison, in that case, what would your suggestion be based on what I just told you?
Let him go.
Well, let him go. And or if you want to be nice, you find a position that's not patient facing, you put him in the back, or you try to put him a remote, whatever it is. Well, I told him the same thing. I said, "I think you need to fire this person." And he goes, "That's the problem. She's my wife." And And I said to her, I said, I think you need to divorce her then. And he didn't like that. So he hung up the phone on me. And I recently looked back at this person because I check them every so often because I talk about it during my sessions. And they have over 150 reviews now, 8 years later. And there's so many bad ones still related to the person at the front desk because the common denominator is she's the problem. Simple. And you have to make that change. So, that's, like I said, you have to look in the mirror and see what's causing all these issues. Switching gears, let's talk about job quality posting and the significance with that and really getting down, people always are talking about how important it is to have a great description of the job, the responsibilities. You need to have some sort of job description that they're able to sign and understand what their roles are in the practice. But in terms of this, how important is the job posting quality when it comes to attracting employees to the practice?
Oh, it's huge. That's the only, that's like, think of your job posting as like your dating app, profile. You want to woo these candidates. You want to sell yourself or your practice in the role. When I'm working with clients and they send me a generic job posting, I chuckle because I'm like, well, this is changing. We're gonna, sprinkle some sparkle on there or something. But, making sure that you share information about your culture. If you have a team that's been together for 10 years and, y'all are like a family, write it in the job posting. If you have a gorgeous practice that has been redesigned and everything's brand new, write it in the job posting. If you have values, put those in the job posting. Anything that's going to make you stand out. Same goes for like if you're marketing your practice and you have another practice that's a mile down the street, you're going to be telling others and marketing yourself for why you're better than the one down the street, right? So same thing goes with these employees, is you want to show why you're the best, why people should come and work for you.
So a job description is really important. So like you said, putting things that really separate yourself from the competition. If same team has been together for 10 years. So when I was hiring a new front desk person towards the end of my career, my other team members were all with us over 10 years. They want to see the loyalty in the practice. That means you can hold on to team members, not, hey, we're looking for a new team member. The person just left after being with us only a short period of time. You don't want to put that in there,
Right.
And I agree. You want to make it like it's a dating app profile for you, so you attract the people that would be attracted to you necessarily. So I think that's really important. Do you help with putting job descriptions together or job opportunities available? Is that something you do for the client? Is that something they have to do on their own? Do they have to go to Chat GPT and get them to write something? How do they put together this great job posting option?
So we do that for them. It's kind of like our how we're marketing, right? So how we're kind of displaying that position to the public. I will say that one of the biggest things that I have heard clinicians complain about is these companies or these practices that post the job responsibilities. For example, if they're looking for a hygienist and they say scaling and root planing in the job description, it really drives them nuts. These clinicians, it drives them nuts for some reason. I guess because they know what their role's going to be and it's just kind of, it's irrelevant. But for some reason, it just drives them crazy.
What do you recommend when they're putting this together, putting benefits, putting salary ranges? Do you recommend they do any of that or let that reach out and find out more about that?
Yes, benefits. It really depends. If it's pretty straightforward, like, you offer 401k and 3% match, then yes, you can put that in there. But, to be honest with you, I tend to advise to not put the benefits and the pay, instead putting competitive salary or something like that, because I've found that people that are coming to you for your job strictly because of benefits and financial gain, or the people that are going to leave you for financial gain and benefits elsewhere. That's what I found. But now I will say that there are some laws now where you are required to have your, the pay listed. So you have to be careful in your state.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Interesting. Let's talk about, the last thing I want to talk about before we switch gears here. Let's talk about previous employee retaliation affecting the hiring of a practice. So that happens all the time. You hear about employees going online, bashing or retaliating. So talk about that a little bit.
That's pretty frustrating, isn't it? I would see that being pretty frustrating to an employer, but then it goes back to making sure that you have that positive reputation, and making sure that whatever claims are being said are, if they're correct, if they're, if the claims that this employer saying, I think it would be important to own up to it 100%. If it's not, then, I think that you can be the better person, basically, and not kind of get into that whole yeah stuff, because that's just going to make you look terrible. If you could just be positive. It's a bad situation to be in, though, isn't it? But there's people, I've seen it in many, many groups where these employers will just go back and forth with these former employer, whatever, and it just makes you look totally unprofessional. So I think that level of professionalism has to stay there no matter what.
I agree with you 100% on that, and try to get as many positive reviews, because I think that's going to ultimately attract the candidates who want to be there. The candidates who are impressed with the practice, versus the ones who are just chasing the money. They're looking for a dental home. And even after I'm gone, almost a year and a half now from ownership, all the employees are still there. One had to retire because she had a medical issue, but everybody's still there, because they appreciate the fact that the office runs well, and they take good care of the employees. I think that's really, is loyalty so important nowadays. We're going to switch gears now. We're going to, for those that have not listened to an episode yet, I do a lightning round Q&A with the guests. This is a deck of cards called pod decks. And, Allison, these are business related questions. I'm going to go through 8 or 10 of them. Your goal here is to answer them as quickly as you can. No long drawn out answers. Okay. Just explain what your answer is. So what is the one thing that you think you will never give up on?
My family.
What is one thing that doesn't add value in your life, but you still do it?
TV.
What were some of the biggest lessons that impacted the way you work? What was the lesson, and what was it like before and after? Intellectual
property, giving someone that I worked for a lot of my intellectual property and never knowing how to protect myself. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever turned down a client, and for what reason?
Yes, absolutely. For having bad online reviews.
Hey, that's, like I said, that's so important. So what is the number one tactic you use to stay organized?
My project management software and my to-do list.
Nothing wrong with that. That works well as well. What do you think your unique skill that has helped you become successful so quickly?
I don't know if you would call it a skill, but I'm very transparent and honest. So I think that's why people come to me, because they know that they can trust me.
Trust is a huge factor. If they can trust you, you'll attract people. Same as in practice with online reviews, it attracts the patients to your practice who want to spend the money. How many hours a day do you work on average?
Oh gosh, more than 12, probably. That needs to cut back.
Hey, that's what happens when you have a startup business. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, good.
Who is someone in the industry you would love to collaborate with, and what would you love to collaborate on?
I would love to do something to create an opportunity for clinicians having to do with either teledentistry or AI.
Okay. What kind of ideas in the shower do you get?
I have business plans that come into my head all the time, but I just make myself not execute them.
talking yourself out of good ideas. That's an inside the box thinker, we call those people. What book have you read multiple times and you highly recommend other people read as well?
Gosh, I haven't read a book in so long. Oh, James Patterson, like one of his suspense novels, probably. James Patterson. Yeah, one of his suspense books.
Is he the guy with like A Long Came a Spider? Is that James Patterson?
Yes.
Is that the guy who wrote all those? Yeah. Okay. I'm familiar with those books. So,
yes.
What distracts you the most from working every day?
My daughter. She comes in every now and again.
Do you keep a journal and does it help you?
No, I do not. I have, but I don't anymore.
Okay. What has been your approach to being so trustworthy in the industry? So how do you gain trust? You said people trust you.
I'm not ever going to be someone that I'm not, or pretend like I'm someone I'm not. I'm always going to be transparent. And if I don't know something, then I say I don't know something. If I can't help someone, then I say I can't help them. And if a candidate comes to me and I can't, place them in a role, or I know for sure that they're not going to get that position, then I just tell them.
Okay. That's great. 3 questions left. Do you make a to-do list every day, weekly, or when?
Every day, 3 times a day.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. What was the one thing you wanted to be when you grew up? What was the first thing, you wanted to be when you grew up?
When other kids were playing with dolls, I had models of teeth, ceramic models of teeth, and I was gluing brackets onto the teeth because my mom was an assistant.
You want to be an orthodontist?
Yes.
Orthodontist or an assistant, so whichever one. Last question, Allison. What is, and it could be both either personal or business. It doesn't have to be just professional. What is one subscription you cannot live without?
Stitch Fix.
Stitch Fix. I haven't heard that answer before. What's Stitch Fix?
Oh, wait. Oh yeah, you did say it's okay to do personal. It's clothes. It's a personal shopper. Yeah.
There you go. That's something new. I haven't heard that before, so that's good.
Okay.
So, Allison, hopefully you enjoyed that Q&A. How can people find more about how you can help them, and how can they get in touch with you if they want help hiring for those non-clinical positions in their practice?
Sure. My email is Allison Norris at thedentelegroup.com. They can also contact me on LinkedIn, and it's just Allison, 2 L's, Norris, Norris.
And by the way, the company is spelled THEDENTELE group.com. It's then the dentelegroup.com, just so people know. And I think you wanted to throw out an offer to the listening and viewing audience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for any listeners, they'll receive 10% off, of their recruiting services.
And should they just mention that they heard you on the podcast? Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't need a code or anything. I mean, they're going to deal with you anyway. So,
yes, exactly.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you think that you need Allison's service for those non-clinical positions in the practice, please reach out to Allison. If you have a colleague who is looking for non-clinical positions, please send them over to Allison as well. Tell them about the podcast. Let them listen to it. Make sure you download, review us, spread the word about the podcast. I did win the Peers Choice Award in 2024, for my podcast from my fellow podcasters, the People's Choice Award. So I appreciate that. But I don't really market it other than I use it social media, and I use the guests to help market. So please make sure you download it and review us and like us. All those things would be great. I want to thank the sponsors, both Dental Intelligence and the Doc Sites, for their support, and remind everybody about my event, Supercharge Your Dental Practice. It's in 2024, September 27th and 28th in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Scott Resort and Spa. You can check it out at superchargeyourdentalpractice.com and use the code RAVING, as in raving patients, RAVING, to save $100 on registration. Allison, thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed our chat. And as I always end these podcasts, remember, your reputation matters. Until the next episode, thank you so much, Allison, and we'll talk to everyone soon.